The 7 Habits That Changed My Life. Episode 1. The Mirror Cracked. Be Proactive. Welcome to the English Speaking Tree, where every story helps you grow in English and in life. Today begins a journey. A powerful one. The story of a man named Arjun Mehra, who had everything: money, reputation, a title on the office door. But he had lost the most important thing: himself. The elevator was full. Ties, bags, phones buzzing. Everyone was pretending to be busy. Arjun was in the corner, eyes blank, jaw clenched. His head spun, heart racing. He pressed the emergency button. I need to get out, he gasped. The crowd stepped back, silent, confused. Moments later, Arjun stumbled into the office washroom and locked himself in a stall. His hands were shaking, his breathing shallow. "What's happening to me?" he whispered. But deep down, he knew the answer. His wife had left him 6 months ago. His 11-year-old son barely texted him anymore. And though his business card read Vice President of Strategy, he felt like a puppet, reacting, never choosing. That evening, Arjun wandered into a park he hadn't visited in years. He sat on a bench. The city lights flickered behind him. A voice spoke beside him. "Rough day." Arjun looked over. An old man sat reading a book. Thick glasses. Kind smile. "Yeah. Just all life stuff," Arjun muttered. The man nodded. Then slowly, he said something that would stay with Arjun forever. "You don't get to choose your circumstances, but you always choose your response." Arjun looked up. "What do you mean?" The man closed the book. It was the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. "Be proactive," the man said. It means taking responsibility for your own life. Stop blaming the job, the traffic, the weather, or even the people who left. Life isn't happening to you. You're choosing how you respond to it. That night, Arjun couldn't sleep. The old man's words echoed in his head. He picked up a notebook and wrote, "Today, I take back control." And he began writing daily proactive affirmations. "I choose how I respond. I am not a victim of my past. Every day, I act with purpose." He stopped cursing the office. He reduced his time in pointless meetings. He started waking up at 5 a.m. to write about his real dream, a podcast helping professionals find balance and purpose. One weekend, Arjun stood outside his son's football practice. He watched quietly. His son spotted him. Surprised, Arjun waved awkwardly and said just one thing: "I'd love to come next time too, if that's okay." His son nodded. It was small, but it was a start. Arjun didn't change the world in a day, but he changed direction. That's what Habit 1. Be proactive is all about. It's not about being perfect. It's about taking one step forward with purpose. Repeat after me. I choose how I respond. I am responsible for my happiness. I can take one step today to shape my future. I will not wait. I will create. And now, ask yourself, what are you blaming today? And what small action can you take instead? This was Chapter 1, The Mirror Cracked. Join us next time as Arjun discovers Habit 2. Begin with the end in mind and attends a funeral that changes everything. If this story moved you, please like, share, and follow English Speaking Tree, where we grow not just in language, but in life. Episode 2. The Funeral That Changed Me. Begin with the end in mind. Last week, we saw Arjun Mehra crack under the pressure of a life that looked successful on the outside, but was hollow on the inside. After meeting a wise old man in the park, he discovered the first habit: be proactive. Today, his journey takes a deeper turn. Because nothing forces us to face truth like a funeral. It was a cold Saturday morning. Grey skies. Quiet streets. Arjun was invited to the memorial service of Mr. Batra, his ex-boss. They hadn't spoken in years. Their relationship had ended bitterly. Still, Arjun went. He stood at the back of the hall as people spoke about Mr. Batra. His leadership. His honesty. His kindness. One colleague said, "He always made us feel like we mattered." Another added, "He taught me more about life than business." Arjun stared at the floor, emotions swelling in his chest. That night, he sat alone on his balcony. The city buzzed far below. "What will they say about me?" he whispered. "If I died tomorrow, what would my son say?" He didn't like the answers that came. So, he opened his notebook again. He wrote 4 questions. Who do I want to be remembered as? What values do I want to be known for? What kind of father, friend, and leader do I want to become? What legacy do I want to leave behind? The next morning, Arjun did something he had never done in his life. He wrote his own eulogy. It read, "Arjun Mehra was a man of quiet strength. He didn't always get it right, but he never stopped trying. He was the kind of father who listened, the kind of friend who showed up. He made people believe in themselves and reminded them that change is always possible." That single act changed his direction forever. He hung those words on his wall. He called it his North Star. From then on, whenever Arjun had to make a decision about work, about family, about time, he asked himself, "Does this move me closer to the man I want to be remembered as?" He began spending real time with his son, not just buying gifts, but asking questions. He stopped trying to win arguments with his ex-wife and started showing up as a better co-parent. At work, he stopped chasing titles and began building something that aligned with his values, a platform that helped others manage their mental wellness. One evening, as he helped his son with homework, his son looked up and said, "You've changed, Dad." Arjun smiled. "No, son. I'm just becoming who I was always meant to be." That is the power of habit too. Begin with the end in mind. It means to live today with tomorrow's legacy in mind. To define success for yourself before the world defines it for you. Repeat after me. I know the kind of person I want to become. I live each day with purpose and direction. I make choices that align with my deepest values. I create my legacy, one decision at a time. And now, ask yourself, if your life was a book, what would the last chapter say? And what can you do today to start writing that ending? This was Chapter 2, The Funeral That Changed Me. In the next episode, Arjun will face his biggest challenge yet. Learning to put first things first, when distractions, deadlines, and doubt pull him in every direction. If you're growing with this story, follow English Speaking Tree and keep walking the inside-out journey with us. Until next time, choose wisely, live intentionally, and speak with purpose. Episode 3. The War of Priorities. Put first things first. Arjun Mehra had begun to change. After writing his own eulogy, he no longer walked through life blindly. He had a clear picture of the man he wanted to become. A father, a creator, a man of integrity. But knowing your values is one thing. Living by them? That's where the real challenge begins. It started on a Tuesday morning. His phone buzzed with notifications, emails, Slack messages, calendar reminders. A client had cancelled. Another wanted to reschedule. And an investor demanded an urgent update on their marketing metrics. Arjun stared at his screen. Then he looked at his whiteboard. In bold blue marker, It said, record podcast episode with Rishi 11 a.m. Rishi was his son. They'd planned this for a week. A father-son audio story project for school. It wasn't urgent, but it was important. Just then, his assistant called. Sir, the investor from Singapore can only meet at 11. Should I lock it? Arjun paused. The old version of him would have said yes. He would have skipped the podcast, apologized to his son later, and believed the lie that he was doing it for the future. But that day, he said, no, let's find another slot. I've already committed to something more important. At 11 a.m., Arjun sat on the floor with Rishi to mix between them, laughing as they recorded a story about a lion who forgot how to roar. It lasted just 20 minutes. But Rishi said, this was the best thing we've done in months. That's the essence of habit 3. Put first things first. It's not time management. It's life management. It's choosing importance over urgency. It's saying yes to what matters and no to what distracts. Later that week, Arjun visited his mentor, the old professor from the park. He shared how torn he still felt between deadlines and dreams. The professor drew a simple diagram in the dirt with a stick. He made 4 squares. This, he said, is the time quadrant. He pointed to the first square. Urgent and important, like real emergencies. Do them fast. Then to the second. Not urgent, but important, like your son, your health, your goals. This is where you must live. He tapped the third. Urgent but not important, like most emails and calls. Then the last. Not urgent, not important, mindless scrolling, empty habits. Let these go. Arjun looked at the second quadrant, the one called not urgent but important, and realized how little time he had spent there. So he made a change. He scheduled time every morning for his health, walks, meditation, journaling. He blocked time every Friday to reflect and plan his week, making sure his values showed up in his calendar. He started calling it his purpose time. One day, his colleague Priya asked, "You seem different, like you're working less, but doing more." Arjun replied, "I'm not working less. I'm just finally working on the right things." Repeat after me. I don't chase time. I invest it. I prioritize what matters most. I say yes to what aligns with my purpose. I put first things first. Now ask yourself, are your most important things getting your best time or just your leftover time? This was Chapter 3, The War of Priorities. In the next episode, Arjun faces a moral dilemma at work and discovers the power of Habit 4. Think win-win, where real success means mutual victory. If this story speaks to you, follow English Speaking Tree and share it with someone who's ready to stop being busy and start living with purpose. Until then, remember, urgency is loud, but importance is quiet. Listen carefully. Episode 4. When winning isn't enough, think win-win. For the first time in years, Arjun felt peace. He had learned to slow down, to say no, to put first things first. But the world doesn't stay quiet forever. And when success returns, so does temptation. Arjun's podcast was growing. Thousands of listeners. Emails of gratitude. Even a small team building around his mission. Then came the offer. A media company, huge, global, powerful, wanted to acquire his show. They promised growth, exposure, money. But they added, you'll need to adjust your format. Cut the long emotional parts. Add more quick hacks. Keep it light, entertaining. Arjun was torn. He called his co-founder, Ritu, a close friend who had helped him start everything. What do you think? He asked. Ritu said, the deal looks good, but will it still feel like us? They had a meeting with the executives. The suit sat across the table, smiling, confident. This is a win-win, one of them said. You get distribution. We get ad revenue. Everybody wins. But Arjun wasn't sure. That night, he opened his old notebook. He flipped to the page where he had written his personal mission: to create content that heals, not just entertains. And then he remembered the fourth habit: think win-win. It didn't mean compromise. It didn't mean pleasing everyone. It meant mutual respect and mutual benefit. So the next day, Arjun went back to the boardroom. We are grateful for the offer, he said. But if this is going to work, it must stay true to our purpose. One of the executives frowned. You mean, you won't change the format? We can grow together, Arjun replied, but not by losing what makes us different. We want a partnership, not a takeover. There was silence. Then, one woman at the far end nodded slowly. Let's try it your way. For one season, she said. If the impact stays strong, we'll keep your original vision. And just like that, they found the third alternative. Not his way, not their way, but a better way. That is think win-win. It's not about ego. It's not about being soft. It's about courage and consideration. It's about building relationships where no one has to lose for someone else to win. Weeks later, Ritu said, I'm proud of you, Arjun. You didn't sell out. You built up. Arjun smiled. Turns out, he said, the best deals are the ones where everyone walks away with more than they came with: respect, trust, and belief. Repeat after me. I believe in mutual success. I don't win by making others lose. I listen, understand, and create new solutions. I think win-win in business, in family, and in life. Now ask yourself, are you trying to win at the cost of someone else? Or are you building a life where everyone around you rises? This was chapter 4, When Winning Isn't Enough. In the next episode, Arjun will face a breakdown in communication with his son and learn the most powerful habit of all. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. If this story inspired you, follow English Speaking Tree, share this with a friend, and remember, true victory never creates losers. Until next time, speak gently, listen deeply, and choose connection over control. Episode 5. The night my son shut the door. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Some lessons don't come from books. They come in silence, in slammed doors, in the tears you didn't notice until it was too late. Arjun had grown. He had found balance. He had started thinking win-win in business and relationships. But one relationship still felt fragile. His son, Rishi. They talked, but not deeply. There were gaps between them, long, invisible cracks filled with years of absence, arguments, missed birthdays, broken promises. One evening, Arjun returned home with a gift, a gaming console Rishi had once mentioned. Here, he said, smiling, just for you. Rishi looked at the box, then at Arjun. Is this supposed to fix everything? He asked. Arjun froze. Rishi turned and walked to his room. The door shut. Not loud, not violent, but it echoed. Arjun sat down, defeated. The next morning, instead of heading to his studio, he stayed home. He waited. Rishi came out of his room, tense, quiet, guarded. Arjun asked gently, "Can we talk?" Rishi shrugged. I've been trying to be a better dad, Arjun said. But maybe I've been doing it wrong. Rishi stayed silent. Arjun added, Tell me what you feel. I won't interrupt. And then, something changed. Rishi looked up, eyes full of pain, anger, but also a tiny bit of trust. You were never there when I needed you, he said. You always said, later, I'm busy. So I stopped asking. I stopped needing. Arjun felt like someone had hit him in the chest. But he said nothing. He didn't defend himself. Didn't explain. He just listened. For the first time, he let his son speak without trying to fix, teach, or guide. That evening, they didn't resolve everything. But they took the first real step in years. They sat side by side on the balcony, not talking, just being. Arjun learned something powerful that day. People don't always want advice. They want to be heard, not judged, not solved, just understood. That is the essence of Habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. It's the most forgotten skill in relationships. Because we listen to reply, not to understand. We wait for our turn to speak, instead of making space for someone else's truth. Later that week, Arjun wrote in his journal, Listening is not passive. It's the most active form of love. He carried that habit into every conversation. With his team, his audience, his family. He asked more questions. He waited longer. He replaced advice with empathy. And slowly, something changed. His son started talking more. His team began sharing ideas more freely. And his podcast became more personal. Real voices, real emotions. Arjun stopped trying to sound smart and started making people feel seen. Repeat after me. I listen to understand, not to reply. I give people space to express themselves. I respect feelings, even when I disagree. I speak after I have truly listened. Now ask yourself, who in your life feels unheard? And when was the last time you really listened? With your ears, your eyes, and your heart? This was Chapter 5, The Night My Son Shut the Door. In the next episode, Arjun brings his growing team together and discovers the magic of Habit 6. Synergize. How diversity of minds leads to results no one could achieve alone. If this story moved you, follow English Speaking Tree and share this with someone who needs to feel heard. Until next time, remember, understanding someone can be more healing than any words you could ever say. Episode 6. The Bonfire Breakthrough. Synergize. Some leaders chase control. Others build teams. Arjun Mehra had always been the first kind, precise, particular, protective of his vision. But vision, he would soon learn, is only one part of creation. The other part is trust. His podcast had grown into something real. Now it wasn't just him behind a mic. There was a team. A young editor named Junaid, a thoughtful writer named Kavya, a shy designer named Lata, and Ritu, his co-founder and friend. But not everything was smooth. Deadlines were missed. Creative clashes happened. Arjun started doing more and trusting less. He would rewrite scripts after midnight. He would change thumbnails without telling Lata. And worst of all, he stopped listening in meetings. One Friday, Ritu pulled him aside. You're becoming the old you again, she said. Arjun blinked. I'm just trying to keep the quality. No, she replied. You're trying to control everything. That weekend, they planned something unusual. No laptops. No deadlines. Just a bonfire retreat at an old farmhouse outside the city. When the fire was lit and the stars were overhead, Ritu handed each team member a stick and said, Break it. Everyone did, easily. Then she tied 5 sticks together and said, "Now try." Nobody could. Ritu looked at Arjun and smiled. "Alone, we're fragile. Together, we're strong." Then she asked everyone to share something about themselves. Junaid spoke first. "I'm scared I'll never be good enough to work here." Kavya said, "Sometimes I don't speak up because I think my ideas won't be taken seriously." Lata whispered, "I keep thinking maybe I was hired by mistake." Arjun felt his chest tighten. He had been so focused on protecting his work. He had forgotten to nurture the people building it with him. So he stood up. "I want to say I'm sorry," he said. "I've been trying to lead by controlling. But starting now, I want to lead by trusting." They sat in silence for a moment. Then someone laughed. Then another. And just like that, something shifted. From that point on, the team worked differently. Lata's designs became more daring. Kavya's scripts were bolder, more emotional. Junaid's edits brought new energy to the episodes. Arjun didn't just have a team. He had a symphony. That is the power of habit 6, synergize. Synergy is when 1 plus 1 equals 3. When ideas collide and something better is born. When you stop competing and start creating together. Arjun wrote on the first page of his journal that week. "Alone, I had speed. Together, we have direction." Repeat after me. "I value other people's perspectives. I welcome ideas different from mine. I build bridges, not walls. I believe collaboration creates more than control ever could." Now ask yourself, are you building alone, or are you inviting others into the process? And when was the last time you let go of control to discover something greater? This was Chapter 6, The Bonfire Breakthrough. In the next episode, Arjun will come full circle, learning the final and most personal habit, sharpen the saw, the habit of self-renewal, of rest, growth, and peace. If this story inspired you, follow English Speaking Tree, share it with your team, your friends, or your family, and remember, the best things in life are built together. Until next time, stay open, stay humble, and stay connected. Episode 7. The circle is complete, sharpen the saw. Years had passed since that elevator breakdown. Since the park bench. Since the broken family and restless mind. Arjun Mehra had grown. He had learned to take responsibility. To shape his life with intention. To prioritize what matters. To think in terms of mutual benefit. To listen before speaking. And to build something greater than himself. But he had one more lesson to learn. A lesson not about doing more, but about being whole. It came one evening when he found himself staring at the ceiling, exhausted. The show was doing well. The team was strong. But Arjun felt empty again. He hadn't walked in the park in weeks. He hadn't read a book just for pleasure in months. He hadn't sat quietly with his own thoughts in a very long time. That's when he remembered what the old man had said during their second meeting. You can't pour from an empty cup. He opened his notebook, where he had written all his reflections since day one. At the end of the last page, he wrote, "It's time to sharpen the saw." Habit 7. The habit that ties everything together. It means to preserve, renew, and recharge the 4 parts of your life. Body, mind, heart, spirit. Arjun made a simple promise to himself. 1 hour a day, just for him. No work, no meetings, no content, just renewal. He started walking again in the mornings. He began meditating, just 10 minutes, no pressure. He started reading fiction again, something he had abandoned years ago. And every Sunday, he sat by himself and reflected. Am I becoming more, or just doing more. That practice changed everything. His work became deeper. His parenting became calmer. His relationships grew richer. Even his team noticed it. "You look lighter," Ritu said one day. "I feel like myself again," he replied. That's the secret of habit 7. When you sharpen the saw, you don't slow down, you cut cleaner. You don't pause your life, you renew it. Because effectiveness is not a sprint. It's a rhythm, a dance between output and input. Arjun wrote one final entry in his notebook. "I used to chase success. Now, I nurture strength. Not in the world, but in me." Repeat after me. "I take time to renew my energy. I care for my body, my mind, my heart, and my soul. I don't burn out. I build strength daily. I grow with rhythm, not rush." Now ask yourself, are you sharpening your saw? Or are you pushing forward with a dull blade? This was chapter 7, The Circle is Complete. And this brings us to the end of our story. But in truth, it's only the beginning. Because the 7 habits are not goals you check off. They're principles you live by. They're seeds you plant, water, and grow one day at a time. If Arjun's journey inspired you, let it become your own. And if you're ready to keep growing, follow English Speaking Tree. Because the tree grows only when the roots are deep. Until we meet again, live intentionally, speak mindfully, and never stop becoming the person you were meant to be. 7 seeds that changed my life, a journey from reaction to renewal. We began this journey with a man standing in a crowded elevator, lost in his thoughts, crushed by the weight of a life that looked perfect, but felt empty. His name was Arjun Mehra. Maybe he was someone like you. Maybe he is you. But this story wasn't about success. It was about change, and how 7 powerful choices can transform a man from the inside out. Let's walk through those choices one more time. First, be proactive. Arjun stopped blaming his job, his past, and his pain. He chose to respond, not react. He realized, life isn't happening to me. I am shaping it. Then, begin with the end in mind. A funeral made him ask the question, what do I want to be remembered for? He wrote his own eulogy. He stopped chasing success and started building a legacy. Next, put first things first. Instead of always being busy, he began being intentional. He gave his son his best time, not his leftover time. He scheduled his values before his meetings. Then came think win-win. Faced with a tempting business deal, he chose integrity over ego. He didn't compromise. He collaborated. He learned that real success is mutual success. In seek first to understand, then to be understood. Arjun listened to the voice he had ignored for too long, his son's. He didn't defend. He didn't explain. He just listened. And that moment built more trust than any gift ever could. Then, synergize. He stepped back and let his team shine. He realized that diversity of ideas isn't noise, it's harmony. Together, they created something far greater than he ever could alone. And finally, sharpen the saw. He returned to stillness. He took walks, read books, reflected. He stopped burning out and started filling up. These were the 7 habits. But more than habits, they became 7 promises. I choose my response. I live by purpose. I prioritize what truly matters. I win with others, not against them. I listen to understand. I build with others, not above them. I renew myself every day. Today, Arjun is still growing, because transformation is never finished. And now, it's your turn. Ask yourself, Which habit do I need most right now? Where am I reacting instead of creating? What if I lived one day with full intention? Repeat after me. I am not a victim. I am a creator. I am building my life from the inside out. Thank you for listening to this journey. If Arjun's story helped you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, live it, pass it forward, and stay connected with us here at English Speaking Tree, where we grow in our language and in our life. This is not the end. This is the beginning of the real you. Until next time, live with purpose, speak with heart, and always sharpen your saw.